is Jaden Courier, and today I will be talking about classical cognitism and connectionism, like comparing and contrasting them. Classical cognition is a single agent that produces different behaviors. It focuses more on the mental part of cognition and thinking. It doesn't really consider many physical factors or environmental factors. Um, Classical cognitism is the older of the two theories and does not focus on digital machines or technology, more on humans. Um, some criticisms of classical cognition is that um, it excludes environmental factors and the experiment that it excludes environmental factors and experience that the agent or like the person has in the environment when it comes to the mind and learning. That is a very important thing whenever it comes to learning because environment can affect how you learn or how you think. Another criticism is that there's no way to actually um, study the human memory because you can't really look inside of a mind. It's like it's kind of based on assumptions and on experiments and not on like actually being able to do that. So that's one of the criticisms. Another criticism is that it doesn't consider like the outside factors like it doesn't consider like experiences that a human has. Um, it doesn't like sorry, it doesn't consider like how we learn from other things, I guess. Like it's mostly about like our personal mind. And that's the difference because like connectionism is heavily influenced on outside factors and classical cognition is more about the internal factors. So that's a criticism because both are important to use in learning. All right, and then connectionism is when learning happens um, across nodes and like different connections. It's like a pattern recognition. Um, some like criticisms of connectionism is that it's very limited. Um, because the human brain is very complex and machine learning is not nearly as complex like as the human brain is. Like we can we have a deeper level of learning than a machine does. Like the connectionism approach doesn't consider that we have a much more advanced level and way of learning. Another criticism is that it focuses on one specific pattern, even even though the human brain is very unpredictable and can change at any moment. Um, they also could be like to deal with emotions, I guess, in the environment that humans are in. And the machine doesn't experience changes like that because it's static. It experiences what it's learned, like based on what a human programmed it to do. And a human's brain just does its own kind of thing. Um, Also, connectionism um, has a tendency to not um, consider the theory of language, which is really important to learning because humans learn and communicate with language, and connectionism doesn't use language in the theory. And a computer doesn't have the ability to process a language the same as we do. Doesn't have to doesn't have as deep as a um, understanding. Um, Also, like connectionism is similar in a way. It's similar in a way to classical cognition, like cognitism, because we also cannot really tell how a machine is processing because we can't be inside a machine to like, truly see, making assumptions based on behavior. All right, and then some of the similarities is that social context is important in both connectionism and cognition because both mention um like cultures, not cultures, I'm sorry, both mention like how others are involved in learning. Um Both also um use memory and relation. Both think learning is based off of memory of sorts, and um, think that we learn based on what we memorize. And back to what I was saying about social factors, what I meant by that is like that we learn um, based on what we've already been told like that social fact, like from others, I guess. But like classical cognitism, like does mention that, but still focuses more on ourselves, like more on our own mental learning than our environmental learning. Um, and then some differences is that connectionism is more based on a system and more digital based because it is a newer theory. Um, and classical is more human based, and like connectionism uses more patterns and nodes, and also considers the environmental factors. And then like classical cognitism is more about the human mind itself and doesn't really consider the digital factors and whatnot. Um, Also, like with cognition, um, classical cognition is more about like behaviors based on like not like a system, like connectionism is, because connectionism connects like memory to like input output, like you learn something, you retain it, and then that's how we learn. And then classical cognitism is more about like behavioral aspects, like how like our mental factors affect our behaviors and learning. So yeah, basically overall, they have a lot of similarities because they both think that memory is how we learn, but classical cognitism is more about the human brain processes and mental processes that we have and how that comes into play. And then connectionism is more like systematic and more like input, output, um, and more related to like how we think based on computers. That is everything. Thank you.